Alright, so as you guys can kind of see, what I'm doing is I create like the texture of the line, and then what I do is I go back and I just use watered down paint and I just run my finger around it. So you just start creating, like, you're creating wood texture. Now I'm going to go back in with a lighter wood next, but I just want to show you what I'm doing. So it just gives you an idea. It's just one color, on top of another, and you're just taking your paintbrush and you just take, some just watered down paint, and you follow the line. So, like, this line right here, I follow it, and you throw a little bit of water on it, and just, you just take your finger and you just run. If you run too much water, it's too watery, you take it down, and you let it stain though. You just let the paint just do its thing. It's not really that difficult, And you could go in more detail. If it's a smaller item, you could really go in more detailed and stuff. But this is just a matter of building slowly each time and going and going and going. As you can kind of see what I'm doing with the sides. So it's creating like your basic wood. Now, when I'm doing stuff around here is I'm kind of just like, just creating little line work around there. It's just you just don't go too crazy. Like I said, you just have a thing of water and some paint, and you just run with it. So I'm just gonna keep going and just keep building and just and then if you make a mistake with the water, it doesn't matter. You can rub your finger in there, and it can actually help you. Like, this is the type of thing that happy mistakes are great because you don't have to really think about it. And I'm not really thinking about it. I'm just letting music run, and I'm just running with it. And then you get messy, but I mean, it doesn't matter. It's just paint. So. And then what I'm doing is I'm doing washes and stuff, like when I have extra paint around there, and I just run my finger over it. So what it is the paint darkness is going to go into these crevices, and then when I do my transparencies over it, those crevices are going to get even darker. So it kind of helps out. But I'm going to still do a lot of washing with my paints and stuff throughout this whole process. It's going to take a lot of coats. It's going to go, but in the end, far away you're going to see a desk, but when you come up closer you start seeing all these little like lines and stuff. Try to get a little bit closer so you can see what's going on. It's almost creating that wood texture now. We have all kinds of stuff. It's going to be a little bit harder to do this stuff, but I even run the lines going across this stuff. So let's see, like, right here, you just take the line and you just kind of run it, and then you just kind of take it down and just like line stuff around here, and you just keep building and building and building. So I'm gonna go throughout this whole thing. As you can see, I still got all this to do in here. I got in here, I got the edges up top, and then once I get all this basic brown, dark brown stuff on the desk, I'll come back and I'll show you what I'm gonna do with the light stuff, and then we'll just keep going from those steps by step by step. So like I said, you can just it's just a matter of taking your time, having fun with it, not even thinking. It's not. If you never really painted wood before, I suggest you just get a couple blocks of wood, you know, try to paint the texture on, like, some kind of a resin, and then what you do is stain your wood. See how the stained wood stains, and then do transparency, like browns and oranges and stuff over your painting, and you start to see you're almost creating the same process, but you're creating the texture yourself. So I'm going to keep plugging away. We'll come back when I'm ready to start doing the light parts. Alright, so I've been at this most of the day so far. You got to remember too, if you're ever doing something like a wood desk, you want to make sure if the chair and the wood are going to be all the same, do it all at the same time. So I did all the desk and I was ready to start going on the next thing, and I said, wait a second, looking at the picture, and I was like, oh, I got to do the chair and stuff. So I did all the chair stuff as well, so we're getting a little bit closer for you guys so you can see what's going on. You can see I'm doing all the texturizing in the wood and everything. So for the chair piece up here, what I did was I did all the stuff underneath, as you can see, going around. And I kind of lined it up with the other part of the chair, so it's kind of like you think it's like one piece of wood that's all kind of connected, as you can kind of see. Because then once it's raised up, we'll have the pillar pieces underneath of it. And then I did all the feet part as well. Underneath here is going to be a black piece, and then this is going to be metal, because I'm kind of following this chair a little bit there. So you got to make sure, I did a little line work on these pieces as well. So the next step is going to kind of lighten up in some areas. I'm still debating if I'm going to do it with the airbrush or if I'm going to do it with the paintbrush. But you can kind of see over here a little bit. I started doing some lighter stuff there. Because this helps when you start doing the transparency work. So what I did is I got some of this color here. It's a flat tan. And you just kind of do the same exact thing. But you don't want to go too crazy with this. You want to kind of... This is kind of when we start doing some more like the detailing stuff a little bit. You kind of... You know, you don't want to go too light on it. You just want to kind of lighten up some of the area. So I'm going to kind of go along with some of this work. This just helps it that you get a little bit of a light when we start staining it. Plus it starts to help out with the wood. Now, I did a lot of messing up around in edges and stuff and everything. But this is going to help, you know, like over here. So if I kind of go over in this area, you know, kind of bring this back out a little bit. Now I could use the same color too in here, but I'm going to kind of do this, bring this out in some areas, not much, just some areas, a little bit light work, and then once all that's done, I go back and I might do a little bit of dry brushing with some of the details in here and stuff. You know, I'm not sure yet. And then once I'm all done with that and it's all set, I might seal this up a little bit with some testers just to kind of get a little bit of seal. And then we might start doing some wash colors on it. So like I said, it's a big process, just to keep plugging away. So I'm going to go ahead and start doing all this part. Alright, so next step is I'm going to start getting shadows underneath everything now to kind of break out the stuff down here and here. So I had to flip them upside down, and I'm going to kind of go in with my airbrush and try to get underneath areas and stuff. And then after that I can flip it around and do some dry brushing and stuff, because this underneath here has got to be kind of darkened up, because you know the light's coming down at the desk and it's kind of hard to try to do detailing stuff. It just bring it out a little bit more. So I'm just gonna darken up underneath. I gotta kind of flip this desk around, and boy, this thing's so bulky. All right, we'll figure it out. All right, man, lifting this thing's a pain. But so I did a lot of the shadowing underneath, so now we can see a lot more of the details coming out now. I'm gonna probably do a little bit of dry brushing just to kind of bring it out with some of my base color I did in the beginning. But since I got some of this base color in here now, I'm just going to hit a couple areas, just kind of blend some stuff together. So like, you know, what I'll do is I'll, just kind of blend some of the mistakes out, fix a little bit of areas that I think need to be hit. You know, maybe hit here, probably work some more stuff up around here. And just kind of toy with it a little bit more. But we're getting there. We're going to come back once I start dry brushing some of the areas. Alright, it's time to start doing some dry brushing. So we go back to my original color. And then we're just going to kind of bring out some of this piece. So now so you can see we're just kind of making that pop a little bit more now, all this little detailing, so this stuff will come out. And you want to try to focus on that mostly. I'm coming downward because I airbrushed downward going this way, so I'm taking this downward that way. And because you don't want to go upwards with it, because then you're just killing all that shadowing I did underneath of it. So I'm just kind of bringing it all down, you know. And it kind of helps out with the edges a little bit too. You kind of dry brush a little bit of the edges. gives a little bit more detail and warm look, because once we start doing our transparencies, all that'll come together. So I'm just going to keep dry brushing all this and just kind of start bringing out this detail a little bit more. Okay, so all the dry brushing is done. Everything's looking pretty good. I'm happy with everything it is. The next step will be doing all the mahogany clear transparency coat, which is like, the chestnut. It's all from Garage Kit Colors. I'll get into that when I'm ready to start doing it. But at this stage of the game, I like to let everything dry pretty well. I wanted this paint to cure, because if you start doing transparencies and any kind of washes over this, if this paint isn't really cured, you could start pulling it up a little bit and it starts getting like gunky. You really want to let this stuff sit and kind of cure. So I'm going to let this pretty much cure overnight. I might seal it up tonight as well before I go to bed, and just kind of let it go. But as you can see the top of the desk, what I did was I did all the edging around like it's a big plank of wood. But once I start doing all the transparency stuff, it'll come together. But you can see that the top of the desk is going to look like that top of the desk. It's going to have those metal matte stuff with the gold trim. So that's what I'm going to do at this top of the desk. I just wanted to make sure that we have the idea that this is a big plank of wood up top. But it'll all come together. As I'm working on I do all the transparencies, I might have to go back and do some more dry brushing and another transparency. It's all, just to see how well I go. But, at least I got the wood on the bottom of the chair. This wood's ready to go. That wood's ready to go. So everything's looking good. It's just got to bring out that mahogany look with the transparencies. But that's where I'm at now. So I'm going to call it a day on this at least, because I got to let this cure up. And then once I'm ready to start doing all these transparencies, we'll come back. I might have to actually order a couple extra paints. I think I won't have enough in the tube to actually do all this, but we'll see. Alright, so we're going to start painting up the desk. So as you can see, I have these colors here. Now this is a Transparency True Red. This will probably be the last color I use. I have Garage Kit's Chestnut, Gold Toner, and Sepia. They're a little bit different. One's a little bit more orange, some's a little bit brown. I might throw into the mix later on some of this Transparency Leather Tan, maybe with some darker areas I need to shade up. We'll see how things work out. But what this desk is, with these colors, you have to kind of keep the item kind of warm. So I have a hair dryer that I'm going to be using. If it was a nice hot summer day, it would be great, but it's like 50 out now. The snow's melting, so it's kind of cool, but I have to have the window open to try to air out the studio. So I'm going to keep this kind of warm while I spray, because if you're not careful, this stuff can start to bleed because it's really thin, but it's really great paints and everything. So I'm going to kind of test up an area first with some of these colors, seeing which one I like the most. And then I'm going to go do the whole thing. So while I do the desk, and once the desk is done with all my transparencies, I also have to do the chair as well. So you got to make sure you're doing all of them at the same time. But this thing is so bulky, so I just got to run with it. So I'm going to try to set up, get my little, colors where I want to go with it, and then I'm just going to go to town on it. So I don't know if I'm going to be able to film the whole thing, because it's going to be a while, and I don't know if I have enough room on the camera. But it just gives you an idea how we'll going with it, and then once these colors are done, we'll go on to the next steps and I'll come back.